Grand Rising, everyone. And this is Artists of Truth, and welcome to another vlog entry. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't usually talk about, sexual assault, but today I wanted to briefly touch on sexual assault. And when I talk about sexual assault, I'm not just saying, I'm not just talking about sexual assault in the sense of women, because I do recognize and acknowledge sexual assault that occurs with women is a real thing. I feel like any man or woman for that matter that sexually assaults a woman, or anyone for that matter, needs to be put under the jail, never to see the light of day. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share my personal experience and my view and stance on sexual assault. Okay. So when I was younger, I had to have been about 10 or 11 years old. I was sexually assaulted by a group of women. Now, I know someone, I know some people out there in the world would be like, sexual assaulted by some women, by some grown women. Uh, Negro, what you complaining about? That's that's every young boy's fantasy, is no, it's not. Kill any and all types of conversation like that, because it's not. I was like 10 or 11 years old. The incident occurred when I was in Queens, New York, visiting my aunt, right? I was coming up the stairwell because I was downstairs out on the playground. My aunt had yelled out the window that, you know, she was cooking and that the food was ready. So, mind you, it's nice outside. I'm out there in Queens. There wasn't no drama going on at the time. So, I'm out there on the playground playing with the other kids and whatnot. And she called me up, so I'm coming up the stairwell. Now, if anyone who lives in Queens, you know, some of those stairwells are suspect. You never know who or what is in those stairwells. So I'm just a kid. I wasn't fearful of, anything. So I was just walking up the stairwell. And I came upon a group of women that were just standing in the stairwell. They were just talking. So I was minding my business. I wasn't getting into that conversation. So I had bypassed them. And as soon as I turned and proceeded to walk up the next flight of stairs, one of the females grabbed me. It had to have been about 4 or 5 females that were standing in that stairwell. And when I say they grabbed me so damn fast and started pulling on my clothes, pulling my shorts down, look here. Ladies, if you have a son, would you feel comfortable with a grown ass woman taking advantage of your son? If your answer is no, I applaud you. these females, they groped me and was like laughing about it. It was like they were groping me and touching me inappropriately. Mind you, I'm just 10, 11 years old. I'm not even, my mindset is not even on anything sexual, because when you're at that age, you're just concerned with having fun, doing things that children do. They want to eat, sleep, play, and just be outside and be amongst other kids. They're not, we're not looking forward to that shit. We don't know anything about that. And I didn't know anything about that. And when I tell you, I fought. I fought because I didn't understand what was going on. And I fought like very, very hard until, they let me go. That shit was so crazy. It happened so fast. It was like, I was kicking, and then all of a sudden my legs got grabbed, my hands were, being held behind my back, and it was like my shorts were being pulled down. And I'm out in public. Like, I felt so embarrassed, and I felt ashamed, and I was scared at the same damn time. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, this isn't funny. This isn't comfortable. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. And then it was like when I got free, I didn't tell my aunt what happened, because I didn't know how to explain it. And for a long time, I didn't tell anyone in my family what happened. I didn't tell my own mom until I got in my 40s. I'm 45 years old. And I have to say, I told my mom what happened to me, and I was like 41, 42. And I guess, that's the reason why I am how I am towards women that will say, I've been sexually assaulted, but they really haven't. And I have my doubt. That's heavy, that people in society will think that the only people, the only women get sexually assaulted. Like, no, no. Men get sexually assaulted too. Boys get sexually assaulted. And, it's like we don't feel comfortable enough to come forward and share our personal experiences. And what brought me to that was I read a post where a woman who enlisted in the military at 18, she enlisted in the Marines, and she was sexually assaulted within the first 2 months of being there. And she was like, she went to a therapy session, and she said that she was shocked to see that there were a lot of men in that therapy session that had been sexually assaulted, not only in the military, but before they even got there. And I don't want to make excuses for anyone's individual actions or behaviors, but I recall Robert Kelly talking about him and his brother being sexually assaulted, as young boys. And it's like the response that they got for even saying that, how they were undermined, belittled, and just not believed. Look here, let me say this, and I can be honest with myself, and I can be honest with you all, that when it comes to sexual assault, it's not just limited to just women or girls. Sexual assault happens to men and young boys. And the fact that people in society that we live in will kind of like cast it off, but then don't have an understanding of why some of us treat women the way that we treat them. You know, whether good or bad, they don't understand our point of view. And it's like, if you don't listen, you'll never understand. If you've never witnessed a boy being sexually assaulted by a group of women, I mean, I don't care if you think that type of thing is okay, you know, just because it's women. That's a crock of bull. That's a crock of bullshit. Because if that type of thing is accepted in society, when that young boy becomes a man, in his subconscious mind, if he's not corrected or given the necessary love and a listening ear to reassure him that, hey, that type of thing is not right, he will eventually grow into adulthood thinking that, well, it happened to me. Well, I guess it's okay for me to do it to other women because it was done to me by women. And, you know, a part of me grew into that, thinking that that was a type of normal thing, even though I was scared and I didn't understand what was going on because I wasn't educated on that. I wasn't mentally or emotionally or physically prepared to receive that. And it was like traumatizing. But it was like when I hit 19, I was thinking, damn, it was like my girlfriend. I thought that type of thing was normal. And I found myself forcing myself on her. And she was just like, yo, that's not right. I was like, what you mean it's not right? And she was like, no. She was like, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do that. And I didn't understand at the time. And it was like, she told her parents about it. And her parents, you know, they confronted me. And it was like her father was just like, he looked at me and I think he understood. He was like, something isn't right. And he sat me down and he was like, he asked me that question. He was like, were you ever touched inappropriately as, you know, as a young boy? And I sat there and I never told him, but I just sat there and he could tell. He was like, oh. And it was like, he grabbed me and I didn't know if he was going to beat my ass at the time, like real G shit. But he grabbed me and he hugged me and he was just like, this is between me and you. He was like, I'm not going to hurt you. He was like, but I want you to know something. If something happened to you, I want you to know that you can come and talk to me. He was like, I won't tell anybody. He was like, but I'll do everything in my power to help you understand that what happened to you shouldn't have never happened to you. Because if no one protected you then, someone has to protect you now. And someone has to explain to you what happened to you is the type of thing that should never happen to a young boy. Because you will grow into adulthood thinking that type of thing is okay, and it's not. Because it can easily get you in trouble, or you could end up throwing your whole entire life away. And I never told him. Never. I kept that to myself. And that was heavy. And it was like crazy because, that stuff that happened with R. Kelly, and a lot of people just really threw him under the bus, because of what he was doing with younger teenage girls. And though it wasn't right what he was doing, the fact that he and his brother came forward about their sexual assault, what I recognized is society ignored what happened to him and his brother. They just treated it like it never existed. But that's a real type of thing that happened. It does. And not saying that I grew up and I did what I did, to other women, but it really put me in a mindset of, just wanting to heal other males who have been traumatized, who have been put through that, who have had that experience. Look here. I love you enough, brothers, to tell you, you don't ever have to go through that. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. Hear this message. And even if you have some young brothers around you, share this message with them. Never be afraid to tell someone that you love, that protects you, what happened to you. If you've been sexually assaulted, I don't care if it's by another guy. Tell someone that you love who's willing to move heaven and earth for you. Tell them that what's going on with you, what happened to you. Don't keep that to yourself, because psychologically that will damage you. And psychologically, if you're not getting therapy, getting help, getting the support that you need, eventually that will put you in a position, or you'll find yourself in a position where you're doing that to someone else, thinking that it's right or it's okay because it happened to you, and it's not. So that is my message for young men. Sexual assault, that's not cool. Whether it happened to you or you're doing it to someone else, that shit ain't cool. And if it happens to you, get help. Get the protection that you need and heal. Because if you haven't been told this today, let me be the first to tell you. I love you, and I'm in your corner. You can always leave a comment. And if you need to talk with me directly, you can. I keep my doors open to any man or woman, young or old, that want to talk and share their personal experience. Protect yourselves and protect each other. All right? Uncle Phil loves you, baby.